Um, Starting with the win over Louisville, thought the student section was awesome. It was great having such good energy. Appreciate the fans that were there and supported us Saturday night. And I think the noise played a part in Louisville's first possession. They got down to the 1 yard line, had a false start. So it's a weapon, and it's definitely an ally that we need to continue to embrace here and just keep bringing it. Obviously, we'll get 2 more opportunities at home here in November. As far as the game goes, I thought it was a really good response from our staff and from our players. It was a lot of fun, to be a part of a game like that and a finish like that. And to do it at home and have Halloween be a part of it, bunch of great costumes. And, it was pretty fun seeing some of the creativity that students and even some of the fans. I think Ted Lasso was definitely out there, a couple different places. I was laughing as I turned around at one of the commercial breaks, but it was a fun night. I was really proud of the faith of our team, the resiliency of our team, just throughout the game. They hung together, showed a lot of grit, and the defense had a special night, playing, without some of our key players, as but just, man, getting it done, and tackling really well in space. I think we played really good complementary football defensively, just special teams, with Trent Gill. But I thought Drake Thomas and Levi Jones were spectacular in that game. Drake had 15 tackles, but he had 3 or 4 that were just one-on-one in space that were really, really nice plays. Levi did some really good things, not just at backer, but in pass rush. And impressed with Malik Cunningham. I mean, man, is that guy a good football player and a tough guy to defend. And I think we did about all we could do to hem him up. I thought our DBs, other than one play, kept the ball in front of them, played the deep ball. Offensively, we struggled until the fourth quarter. We finally got an explosive play there with Trent, and I felt like that sparked us, and then scored 21 points in the fourth. It was awesome to have that finish and that final drive. We get the ball with like 9 minutes left in the game and, eat up 7 minutes on the clock and score a touchdown to make it a 2-possession game after they had kicked the field goal to make it a 1-point game. So that was good to see. But Trent Penix, I felt like he sparked this. It was great to see him kind of have a game like that. Something we've been seeing from a coaching staff standpoint and hoping for, and it was great to have that happen. So I was happy for him and for our team. Just from overall, I thought, offensively, positives. We didn't turn the ball over. Taking care of the football is a huge deal. Thought we caught the ball well. It was great to see DC come back the way he did. Emeka had another good game. CJ Riley had a great catch in the red zone for a touchdown. Porter had a drop and then came back with a huge catch there. And that was the one that really sparked us. The next play was the touchdown to Penix. Thayer continues to do what he does. And we protected well. We had 1 sack in the game. They brought a lot of different pressures. And obviously, Leary had 4 touchdowns, and we were 3 for 3 with red zone touchdowns and our 3 red zone drives. Negatives, we got to get our run game back to where it was. And, it's not all on players. It's not all on coaches. It's everybody. There's different people and different plays. And sometimes we're running the ball into a poor, an overloaded look, and that's on us as coaches to help them. And some of that, we have RPOs built in where Devin just needs to make better decisions on when to throw it. But and there were some missed blocks like you usually see in the run game when you don't do well. And then there was one play that Ricky, bounced laterally and he had a good vertical lane if he would have stayed vertical. So there's a lot of things there and things that we can get better at, and that's the good part of it. But I thought, Louisville did some good things. They're definitely pressuring us a lot in the run game, and you got to give them some credit on that as well. I thought defensively, Shy Battle's interception was a great play. We really worked hard on deep balls. He thought Louisville, was a vertical passing team off of their run game, and the onus was going to be on the corners at times to make plays, and they did. Aiden could have had 2 interceptions. That would have been great catches, but he got his hands on 2 deep balls. Defensively, they got in the red zone twice, and we gave up 0 touchdowns down there. They had a missed field goal and made field goal. I thought the discipline in our pass rush lanes was really, really good. Coach Wiles with the front, Levi when he was in it as a linebacker, but the guys just did a nice job of keeping him in the pocket or having a spy for him, slanting one way or twisting another way and forcing him a certain direction and then tackling him. As I mentioned with Drake and Levi, we had 3 4th down stops and probably one of the things that I'm most proud of, just the way the defensive kids reacted on boots and play actions off the run game. Those are plays that have hurt a lot of people, and they didn't hurt us in that game. Negatives, we gave up an explosive pass for a touchdown, huge play we can't give up. We had 2 opportunities for interceptions that we dropped. And, in the run game, they had some yards on us where we lost our gaps up front a couple times and too many times. I thought our special teams were very strong again. Trent Gill is punting the football. He's a weapon. 43 yards a punt, 6 times. All 6 of his punts were down inside the 20 to set up our defense. Kickoff coverage had a couple returns on us in this game where we had to tackle and wasn't just touchbacks. And both times we were able to get them down inside the 25. So that was good to see. Had good overlap, guys getting off of blocks. So now we get to play another road game and a Florida State team that had a lot of momentum, had won 3 straight games, just had a barn burner with Clemson. It was a 1 possession game, and they're really doing some good things. They're much more physical. They've kind of settled in on who they are. They're a big, strong, physical defensive line. That's the first thing you see. They got a defensive end, number 11, transferred in from Georgia, that leads the conference in sacks and tackles for loss. Defensive tackle number 0, I think, is really impressive, disruptive player. They're not doing as much. They're simplified on defense, and they're playing better. They're playing sound, playing hard. Offensively, they're committed to running the ball. They've rushed for 100 yards or 200 yards in 6 of their 8 games, and both of their tailbacks are really impressive. They're averaging over 7 yards a carry. They're probably the best 2 running backs we've seen this season. And the quarterback, Henry's a good athlete. He's not just a runner. He's throwing the ball better. They've got a multitude of guys they throw it to. There's 6 guys over 15 catches. The tight end leads them in receiving. But it's another opportunity to go play a huge game. November is a very important month. It's the first time in my time in the league that it's been wide open for who's going to represent each side of the division that they're in. So it's exciting, right now in our conference to have, several teams on both sides of their divisions, Coastal, Atlantic, fighting to get to Charlotte, and each game's going to matter a lot. And so we're excited for our next opportunity and, chance to go play a game, not at 7:30. Thank you. Awesome to be able to go play a game and not have to come home at 4 a.m. afterwards. So looking forward to that time slot. And I know our players are thankful for that. It's been a lot, to play 8 games and have 7 of the 8 at 7:30. So we're looking forward to this 4:00 kick and look forward to playing a very talented team down in Tallahassee. Questions?
Jonas.
Hey, Coach, you talked about Drake in your opening statements. Can you just kind of talk about how it seems like you guys have lost linebackers and he's kind of picked up their abilities and gotten stronger as the season's going on. Can you talk about his abilities to take on more responsibility, but his production hasn't dropped off at all, and how he's just been kind of rising his game last few weeks?
Drake was a middle linebacker his whole life until he got here. So he's been playing Sam and been playing Will. So it's really natural for him, and probably because he knows what's happening on the outsides of him, it's pretty easy transition because he knows who's fitting where, at the Sam and Will positions around him. From a leadership standpoint, he's ready for this. I mean, You know, he's been a guy that has demonstrated leadership through example for a couple years, and this year he's just been different. You know, he's been very confident. I think he knows. You know, he's one of the best players on our football team. He knows that, and he's not a guy that's cocky about that. I think he's just a very confident player that brings it every day, and the guys respect him. And thankfully, he's using his voice now to express how that's supposed to look with his teammates, and they respond to it.
Was Saturday his best game you've seen since he's been here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 15 tackles, and then the open field tackles, the things that people don't see. I mean, he was just crushing offensive linemen in that game too. Those guys were trying to climb up, and he was knocking them over in the backfield, and, you know, did some good things in coverage, had a really nice pass breakup. So yeah, he played a really, really good football game.
David.
You know, you got a guy like Corey Durden, who's, you know, going back to play, you know, his alma mater. Can you lean on him a little bit even more with his experience with that team? And also, you know, how do you kind of rein in those emotions when you know he's going to want to have a huge game against a former team?
Yeah. I mean, I know it'll be for Corey emotional. I mean, he's got friends on that other sideline, so I know once the ball snapped, that's not going to matter to him. But you just got to keep him focused on his job, you know, and I think those are discussions we'll have with him, to not let the emotions of the game be what it's about. It's about executing and playing at a high level. I thought Corey really played his best fundamental game of the year against Louisville. Stayed in his gap, you know, played with his hands, pressured the quarterback. So we just got to keep him focused on what works for him. As far as talking to him about the other team, you know, not sure how much that helps. You know, they're a different team than they were last year. Obviously, we are too. So, you know, if there's things that he thinks will help, we'll listen. But, you know, when you get out there to play, it's not going to matter. You know, the guys have to execute every snap, and they're going to play hard, and we're going to play hard.
Aaron.
Hey, Dave, you guys played the Clemson game, the Miami game, the Louisville game came down to the final minutes as well for you guys to close that one out. How much value is there with having these types of close games to test your team, even when you know you've got a tough group coming in with veterans back? How much value is there in those close games?
Yeah, I mean, there's a confidence. I think, you know, Clemson was an overtime win. La Tech, we intercepted a pass to close it out. So we've had a lot of one possession games here, and you just got to make the play at the end, you know, to put it away. And we've been able to do that on several occasions and not on some others. So they're good learning experiences. I think it builds confidence, you know, in the guys, that if you just keep playing and believing and doing the things that you're supposed to do, you know, eventually you're going to break through in a game. And when you have a quarterback playing like we do, the way he is, it's just a matter of time, you know, before he does something that helps us offensively, because he's just doing a really good job managing the game. And doesn't matter how many seconds are on the clock. I mean, the guy's really good in 2-minute drill too. So I think our team's very confident in that.
Corey.
Dave, at this point in the season, Devin Leary has thrown for 21 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Obviously, the first 2 games he had 1 interception. He hasn't thrown one since. Wanted to get your thoughts on his play this season and how big he's been for this team, especially in terms of passing the ball.
Yeah, I mean, protecting the football is the best way to win, period. All the other stats that are out there, that is the one that gives you the best opportunity to win games. And when your quarterback is doing what ours is from that standpoint, he's giving us the best chance to win, not just because of his arm or his accuracy, because he doesn't help the other team, you know. And I think at the end of the day, a lot more games are lost than they are won. And Devin does a nice job of not putting that out there and giving them a chance to play on a short field and hurting our defense. He understands that every play doesn't have to be a great play. If he gets to the next one, that might be the one where we have a guy wide open, you know. So he's learned a lot in his time here. He's grown up a lot. And he's done a really fantastic job with Coach Beck and Coach Proctor of just learning the game plan and being patient, taking what's there.
I was also going to say, it really seems like he's most comfortable in that fourth quarter, regardless of the circumstances leading up to the game. You know, that second and third quarter didn't go as well as you guys had probably planned against Louisville, but he played really well in the fourth quarter. He's done that against teams like Clemson in the past and several times this year. You know, I mean, what have you seen from him that gives you confidence in him every single time when you're late in games?
Well, you know, since the Pitt game, you know, I think that's the first time I've seen how clutch he is. He doesn't get rattled. The moments aren't too big for him. I think there's some people out there that get uptight, and he's not one of them. And that makes him look really good because there's people around him that are flinching and pressing or trying to do someone else's job. And Devin's doing the same thing he was doing previous quarter and the previous quarter before that. You know, I think a lot of times people think that guys all of a sudden become superhuman in these clinch situations, and they really don't. They just execute, and sometimes other guys don't, you know. And I think Tom Brady's a great example too. You know, I mean, he does all these things in clutch situations. Peyton Manning did all those things in clutch situations, and you hear him talk about that kind of demeanor. That they don't change who they are. Like, they're the same guy. They're just that guy the whole game, and other people aren't. And Devin's really calm. You know, he's very poised. He doesn't get rattled. And so those moments for him are really good moments. And that gives us a chance, you know, in these one possession games to be elite.
James.
Yeah, Dave, it felt like the red zone was one of the ways you guys won this game against Louisville. And you've been good in that area offensively and defensively this year. What are some of the traits you see or you need to be good defensively, specifically in the red zone?
It was an area that we work a lot in the red zone. First of all, it's an area of emphasis here. So I think there needs to be a comfort zone that your players have down there. Like, they know your game plan, they understand it. I think a lot of times as coaches, you spend so much time in the regular part of the field, and then you get down there and there's a lot of things that can change down there. Your coverage packages, when you get inside the 10, are different on defense because the windows are different. And so we spend a lot of time down there. The kids understand what we do, the whys behind it. And so because of that, they can play fast and execute and do the things necessary. And that was our best game in the red zone. We were 100% on both sides of the ball at reaching our goals. And I agree with you. You know, I think that's definitely one of the reasons we won that football game.
And just to follow up, I wanted to ask you about Jordan Travis. Obviously, he's considered a dual threat quarterback as well. Does it help playing Louisville before them, or the game? Are they similar schematically?
He's definitely a great athlete. You know, I think he does some things on his own. You know, when they drop back and throw, where he can extend plays, and he's got that extra gear. He can really run. You know, his speed is very similar to Malik Cunningham's speed. I think Malik's more of a slasher too. You know, I mean, Malik's really different the way he changes direction. And not to say that Henry doesn't change direction well. I just think Malik he's a little different that way. But you have to be ready for this guy as a runner. It probably does help that we just spent the last week working on QB run game as well. The designed runs aren't always the same. You know, we'll have to work on what their run blocking schemes are going to be and fit them up and make sure we have enough people there and be super disciplined in our pass rush lanes again and in coverage, because when guys scramble, obviously you can give up some big plays on scramble drill. So our rules on defense have to be really sound that way.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Todd Gibson.
Yeah, Dave, sometimes when one side of the ball is struggling and the other side is playing well, there can be some friction. I didn't see that on Saturday night. And if that's so, what does that say about your team? It seems to be a tight group.
Yeah, I think they believe in each other, and the complementary aspect of what we preach carries over there. And I think, you know, the defense knew that they needed to help the offense, and the offense knew they needed to help the defense. You could hear it in the locker room. That's what the guys were talking about. Hey, the defense is playing great. We got to get out there and help them. Like, the kids knew. They were excited to get the adjustments that we were going to make, and then just took us a little bit longer than we wanted to execute them. But that's football, man. I mean, there's some games, and obviously in the Miami game, we didn't hold them enough, and we needed the offense to score more points. And there's games where you're just going to have to outscore them. There's games when you got to hold them down score wise, and there's games where your special teams have to be able to score. So we are playing good complementary football, and that's really good. I mean, that's something that we needed to be able to do to have a chance. It just wasn't what people expected, I'm sure, with us having 4 guys down. Probably expected us to have to score a lot more to win. So I was proud of us for finding a way to win, you know.
David,
Quick 2-part question. One, did you dress up for Halloween? And 2, if you could dress up as any other college football coach, who would you dress up as?
Yeah, I did not dress up for Halloween. Unfortunately, we had Halloween Sunday here, getting ready for the next game, and you know, had a night game Saturday night, so didn't get much time to enjoy it. Was here late last night. We did have some trick or treat here with the kids of the coaches and players and things like that going on. If I could dress up as any other college coach was the question. I don't know. I'm going to pass on that question.
Okay, fair enough.
Jonas,
I'm laughing at that. That's how I almost forgot my question. Coach, you said you talked about the running game in your opening statements, and over the last few weeks, you talked about how teams are defending you guys, putting 8 in the box, trying to stop the run. Now that Devin's showing that he can beat teams in the passing game, do you anticipate seeing teams kind of back out now and trying to stop the run, and maybe that'll open up things for Bam and Ricky a little bit more?
You know, it's going to be interesting to see, Jonas. I think that's a good question. I think you have to defensively in college football pick your poison at times, you know. I do, and we have to do the same thing here. And our offense needs to be able to play the math game. You know, if they're going to put guys in there, we got to be able to throw the ball, and we've been able to throw the ball to win. So, you know, you guys know me, you know, I'd love to be more balanced offensively than we are right now, but at the same time, I'd rather win games. And if they're going to make us throw to win, that's what we're going to do, you know. But at the end of the day, there's a bravado about being able to run the football better than we are. And it's not blame on anyone. I mean, we all as a program have to be better in that area. It starts, you know, with me, and then the offensive staff, and then the players, and something we take pride in, but take more pride in winning, you know. So if they're going to load it up, then we're going to throw it out there.
I don't see any other hands raised. Does anybody else have any questions for Coach Doeren?
Did you really look at the crowd and single out somebody dressed as Ted Lasso? That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. I turned around to get a drink of water, and there's this guy has like huge mustache Ted Lasso thing on. Just made me laugh. You know, we get a lot of 3.5-minute breaks. So, you know, and then you kind of catch something out of the corner of your eye that makes you look at it. It's like, wow, that's a pretty good costume right there, you know. But yeah, it was fun. I mean, it was great having a Halloween home game like that. It was a lot of fun.
So, Coach, I know you didn't want to answer the college football question, but do you have maybe like a favorite Halloween costume that you've worn in the past?
This is clearly a story you're writing.
It's really not. I'm just interested. I'm just interested.
You know, not really, man. Not that I can.
Not a
really.
big Halloween
I mean,
guy.
you know, I mean, just the last however many years Halloween I've been coaching, and you know, lucky to even get a chance to do trick or treat with my kids, you know, when we had them when they're littler. So no, maybe when I'm retired and things like that, I'll dress up like you or somebody, you know, and be a reporter, go around and annoy people. And
That sounds true. That sounds terrifying.
yeah.
Okay, everybody. Thank you. Thanks, Coach.
All right. Y'all have a good one.